So for problem number 37, it says fuel economy in 2010. Here are some advertised horsepower ratings and expected gas mileage for 2010 vehicles. And this is done by Kelley Blue Book. And so there's the horsepower ratings and then again the miles per gallon. Okay. Now, when you look at the data, we want to see if there's some sort of association. One might think that if you have more horsepower, you're going to use more gas. So you might have a lower miles per hour or miles per gallon. So the first thing that you have to do in this situation is to create a scatter plot. Now, for time's sake, I'm not going to enter this into my calculator. But I do have the scatter plot. So if I were to create a scatter plot for this, basically it'll look like this. Let me just paste that right here. And so that's what the scatter plot of the data looks like. Okay? So that's the first step. Now, when I create so it says create the scatter plot, right? That's step A, right? So that's what that would look like. Now, you could do this, I suppose, well, I guess I could do it. Let's just do it real quick. So if I were to do that, I could do it in a spreadsheet, actually. So let's just do it in the spreadsheet. I guess I will do it. That way you guys can understand what's going on. So for this particular problem, I'm going to create, and let me zoom in a little bit on this so you guys can see this. Chapter 6, I'll share this in Canvas with you guys. Problem 37. So I like to do the horsepower first, so I'm going to just type in here horsepower. And then I'm going to do miles per gallon. And I'm going to take this little chart here. Let me move this over to the other screen so I could look at it a little better. Oops. And then I'm going to start typing this in. So I got 211, 230, 182, 155, 320, 310, 320, 140, 177, 138, 138. And what I'm doing is I'm just typing in the horsepower into my spreadsheet. And then in my next column, I'll type all of the corresponding miles per gallon. So then the next one, over here, I'm going to have 30, 28, 30, 37, 21, 20, 21 again, 34, 31, 35, 25, 20, 28, and 33, and 28. Uh-oh, SpaghettiOs, what do you guys notice?
More numbers in there, they should be.
Yeah, so now I got to double check my work. 320, 310, 320. I see it. 140, nope, 177, 138, 310, 171, 169, 150. So somewhere over here I got goofy.
Oh, no, 306. You missed 306. It's right after 138.
Well, I guess you're right. Right here. 306, 310, 171. Okay, that's what it is. All right, so that's always a good indicator. So now the next thing I'm going to do is insert a scatter plot or a chart. And I'm going to come down here. I'm going to choose a scatter plot. Oh, I didn't select my data. Whoops. Whoopsies. Delete this thing. And now I'm going to insert the chart because now I've selected my data. All right, cool. So that is essentially the same thing. So maybe I'll let me copy this chart. And we'll put this back in here. And so there's my chart in all of its glory. And then it says, describe the direction, form, and strength of the plot. Well, the first thing is, does that look linear to you? Yeah, so for part B, I could say there is a strong, would you say positive or negative correlation? What's the slope of that line if you read it left to right like a textbook? Yeah, it looks negative. And I would say straight. Remember, this is what they want us to say. Now, why am I using the word straight? Straight implies that it's linear. Association between horsepower and miles per gallon. Oops. I know you guys can't see that, but that's okay. I will fix that in a second. Also, I should probably note, there doesn't appear to be outliers. Now, I was going to say no outliers, but you have to be careful. In stats, we have to be very careful about what we say. So we would say there does not appear to be any outliers. Okay? And that's it for part B. Let's move on to part C. Now, for part C, it says find the correlation between the horsepower and miles per gallon. Now, this correlation can be solved on this the spreadsheet. So let me show you how to do that. Now, you could do this on the calculator or you could do it on the spreadsheet. We're going to go to Customize, and I think it's Series. Now, the trend line is the linear progression. Now, once I click that, it automatically calculates that for me. But notice down here it says show R squared. So I could put a label there. I could use an equation. I could make something custom. But I'm just going to show R squared. Now, remember that R squared is not the same as R. So now I'm going to make a copy of this again, copy the chart, and put this back in here. R squared then let me write this in here. R squared is 0.8. Let me do this. R squared appears to be 0.826. So now that's R squared. But now to find R, I have to take the square root of that. So when I take the square root of this, I'm just going to type in square. Usually if you type this and I say 0.826, look at what I get. 9.09, right? So then what I'm going to say is that R is equal to Now remember, when I take the square root of something, whenever we take the square root of something, we have to consider the positive and negative solution. So I have two possible solutions for my value for r. It could be positive or negative 9.09 if I round up. Based on the slope of this line, what do I choose?
Has to be negative.
Yeah, it probably should be negative. So for C, I could say the correlation between the horsepower and miles per gallon is R equals negative 0.909. Okay? So far we're cooking with gas. Okay? Now D says, write a few sentences saying what the plot says about fuel economy. So now this can vary in your own words, but here's what we have. It looks like there's an association, right? But now we got a number attached to it. What did I say? A strong correlation. What does that R value need to be close to? It needs to be close to 1 or negative 1. So we could say there is a strong linear relationship in the negative direction. I can use the word strong because I have a number to back up how strong it actually is. All right, so this is part D, I guess. Let me label this stuff. There is a strong linear relationship in the negative direction between horsepower and miles per gallon. Lower fuel efficiency is associated with higher horsepower. Let me change that up a little bit so you can see it better. Does that help? Did I answer the question? Where'd you get stuck on that one?
So, it was more just calculating the correlation on the calculator.
So that's let me, I'm trying to think. I have another video, I'll show you that. So my